Peace.
Peace.
This is Joshua Miller Law, Mr. PhD. You're just now entering the cipher called Real2reel360. K-Wise.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real2reel360 show. Let's get it in. We do the knowledge of wisdom so you can understand. Real2reel360 shows in full command. We're changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to born. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy your show. Peace.
Am I the meanest?
Sure enough.
Am I the baddest mofo low down around this time?
Sure enough.
But who am I?
Joshua Miller Law.
Who am I?
Joshua Miller Law.
I can't hear you.
Joshua Miller Law, Mr. PhD.
Peace to all our followers, likers, and subscribers.
Am I the baddest mofo low down around
We
this
definitely
time?
in here tonight.
But who am I?
Woo! Peace to all our followers, likers, and subscribers. Peace to the nation of God's and earth. Today is our community Sundays where we build and we give a resource for all of the communities that are out there. Today we have a brother that when I first got knowledge of self, back in Bill Wisdom 15067, was one of the very instrumental individuals in my progression when it came down to having knowledge of self. I was up under this man, obtaining a lot of wisdom from him because of the structure he brought to Long Island, the education that he brought to Long Island, the civilization, and how he sacrificed his time and energy to teach those of us who didn't know any better. He was actually considered like a father figure to a lot of us young guys that was coming up. And to me, to have him on the show is real personal and it's real meaningful. Also, too, we have the God Self-Savior, who is the liaison for Office of Cultural Management. He's out there in California. So we're going to bring both these individuals on at this moment in time so they can make knowledge born of who they are. Peace to all those who are chiming in right now. Peace to all those who are chiming in right now. Peace, God. Peace, God. How you?
Peace.
To the gods.
Peace. Peace to everyone.
Peace. Now,
Peace.
I want to give both y'all an opportunity to introduce yourselves to the audience, the likers and subscribers, and many individuals who definitely follow Real2reel360. So y'all can take your time, take whoever it is.
Well,
Divine
right,
Prince.
I'm God, Divine Prince of Law. Right. I'm Divine Prince of Law. Right. Long-term senior member of the Nation of Gods and Earths who are known around the world as the 5%. Right. And it's an honor for me to be on this platform with Josh Mel and K. Wise. I brought in Self-Savior, right, who is our California liaison for our organization that comes out of law school known as the Office of Cultural Management, right, whose major purpose is to administer the truth, and accommodate the needs of incarcerated 5% throughout New York. That's our main base, but throughout all of our regions in United States, right? And we have most of our men going back and forth to the penal institutions, right? I also am an author. I am a community advocate. I'm a peer advocate for addiction services, and health and human services is my field, right? But I'm universal in the fact, man, that I I wear many hats. Let me put it that way, and like I said, it's a privilege. With us today, like I said, self-savior, right, who is from California, and he has been a great help to us at the Office of Cultural Management in helping us to go within the prisons and teach, right, to how can I say, remedy some of the faults that lie within the penal system that allow our brothers that are incarcerated the opportunity, man, to get themselves together and be prepared when they are released to come into the free cycle and be productive citizens. Also, I have my publisher, Divine Son of Law. He's also on this call. And I just want to say peace to everyone. And we're looking forward, man, to informing you about exactly who we are, what we're about, and what I personally perceive as the necessary steps we have got to take moving on into the future so that our culture will reign supreme as it has in the past, and hopefully it will reign supreme in the future.
Indeed.
Peace, self-savior.
Yeah.
You on?
Yeah, self-savior. You want to
Peace, peace. Yes, sir. I'm self-savior. I'm California now, but I'm originally from Trenton, New Jersey. Like Trenton, New Jersey. I just want to get that clear. So this culture out here that we were building about earlier, and the situation in the prison system, this is all new to me, So I come from a place where I'm 12, 13 years old, living 1.5 miles from Divine Land or Donley Homes, where Poor Righteous Teachers, the rap group, is at, right? I'm coming from a time and place where there's going to be other gods and earths that you'll meet on the way to the store, even all the way up into 2012, and I do a lot of things, but one thing I like to talk about is how I've been an academic teacher for many years, and I started that career out in Trenton, and in such, I worked with the prison system out there, and in Newark, and in Camden, and ever since I moved out to this part of the country, where I'm striving, and do everything in my power, all that I can, to bring the culture into the prison system in a way that's dignified, that reflects the other privileges and the other rights that the other quote unquote religious groups have. I've been having a real hard time because, like we spoke about earlier, there is no context here, right? So where somebody like you or I in our 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way up to the God ciphers would have had a context to get knowledge of self on the East Coast and other parts of the country. And out here, spreading knowledge of self is even harder because the context is absent, right? So where somebody might, a kid 12, 13, 14 years old, 20, 30 years ago would have heard about Malcolm X or Elijah Muhammad or even maybe W.D. Farad, they're not going to know anything about it. So we're approaching this with a blank slate, and that includes the officials in the prison system who seem to be scared on one level and uncooperative on another. So it's been a tremendous effort on the part of the Office of Cultural Management. I didn't do the lion's share of the work, but I'm very glad to be here and striving to do all I can to push the culture forward and find a place for it out here on the West Coast.
Definitely, that's greatly appreciated. Peace. Divine Son.
Peace to the gods, peace to my A-likes. Just a quick introduction of Divine Son of Law. I'm originally from Pelon. I've had knowledge of self since '78. I was 10 years old, and I went to my first rally. Shabazz Adu, I think, was speaking at that rally. It's a long time ago, and I ain't never been nothing but nation. I ain't never been nothing but God. Right now, I met the God Divine Prince through his book, The Legacy of Our God. I ran across the manuscript through another God, and being a publisher and author myself, I said, "Why isn't this book published?" He said, "I don't know. The God got it up on platforms for people to read." I said, "Now, Sype, I said, connect me with the God." So, long story short, when I got connected with the God, we had one conversation, and the God felt comfortable enough to entrust me with this book, and we put a new cover on it, and we put it out there for the masses. I think the book is a beautiful piece of literature that needs to be in everybody's house. And like I said, I'm here just adding on my likes.
Indeed. Like I said in the introduction, I've been knowing Divine Prince since I was like, what, maybe 9, 10 years old, Divine Prince?
Yeah, that's right, God.
That's peace.
We got history, God. We definitely do.
Mm.
We got a lot of history. You know, Divine Prince watched me grow up. Um,
Mm.
I've got a lot of information from Divine Prince and how to navigate through the world. And
Mm.
I say to him that a lot of times, a lot of things he didn't have to tell me. He didn't have to show me because he was a father. He was a single father who was taking care of his
That's
young
right.
God at the time, but he was definitely still about taking care of his people. And it's about that for me. You know what I mean? So when Divine Prince said he wanted to come on, it's more than a pleasure for me because that's my big brother, you know, and he's always taking
Mm.
time out for me. So, Divine Prince, when did you start with your entrepreneurial avenue? Because I remember like you was in the real estate, you was in the I think some accounting and some other stuff that I noticed you had various different businesses that you dealt with over the years. What was it about the entrepreneurial way that you wanted to go?
Well, as for myself, I've always worked for somebody. You know, my father ingrained that in me as a young man, you know, that we must work and provide for our families. So I was always someone, man, that saw, man, that, you know, I need to have something for myself, right?
Mm-hmm,
In the early 80s, I became interested in real estate because I saw, you know, the ownership of property as being a way not only to enrich ourselves, but for us to gain, you know, some power economically. Because I realized then that land is really the basis of all power,
mm-hmm,
right? And you're right. I established with others, you know, certain businesses, man, you know, to on the level of entrepreneurship, you know, which began on the street level, but then it expanded where I was teaching courses in real estate, right?
Mm.
But as you know, man, as time goes on, we begin to see, man, that, you know, what we want to do may not bear fruit for us personally, but bear fruit for others. I
mm-hmm,
moved on, and those I had put on to it, man, they became successful in their ventures. And
mm-hmm,
to this day, I get notices of gratitude for me showing them a way so that you do not have to work for anybody but yourself,
mm-hmm,
right? I got into the health and human services field um, because I realized, man, that our communities were, you know, impacted by a whole lot of diseases, you know, diabetes, HIV, Hep C, um, you name it. That it seemed that we were the poster children for all these diseases, right?
mm-hmm,
And I began to see that, you know, when it comes to insurance and getting proper medical care, that, you know, a lot of our people could afford insurance, right? We found out, man, that there was a big divide in them getting proper medical treatment.
mm-hmm,
So I learned how to, you know, I got into the insurance game as well, man, you know, as an independent, striving to get our people, you know, blacks and browns, proper medical care. This I saw essential from my time with the Young Lords Party uh, in the mid 19 the mid 1960s or onto the 70s. Uh, Pablo Guzman, Felipe Luciano, who became very popular, but as young men, we were united, man, in like getting proper sanitation for the community, um, making sure that, you know, these clinics would service us. You know what I'm saying? Um, there was a lot I did in accomplish, man, as an entrepreneur on the entrepreneurial level. But I always felt, man, that, you know, if you can't get a job, to make yourself a job, you know, and it doesn't have to be criminal, you know.
Mm.
There's enough gold out here and resources where you can, man, get yourself a leg up and provide for your family, but always with the intention that we become independent and how do I say monetarily stable, you
Right.
know, because when it comes down, when our children grow, we want them to go to college, you
mm-hmm,
know, we want them to have the whole home ownership, own a car. But unless you have some means to acquire that, you know, I was never a real advocate for credit, because I saw credit, man, as being a trap for a lot of us, you know. But now, as I read the God ciphers, I'm still advocating for young people to get something for themselves, to learn as much as you can, whatever field you're going to, that you don't necessarily need a college education to be successful in life, but you must educate yourself in your fields of endeavor. And that was it. I've always been someone that's advocate, man, independence and doing for self.
Well, that's peace, God. Self savior. When it
Yes,
comes
sir.
down to working in the cultural office of cultural management out there in California, what are some of the things that you are bridging the gap for the prison systems and the brothers who are coming home?
Well, what's happening out here is, you know, just to be completely honest about it, the only 5%ers I know are in San Quentin. So in other words, I've been out here since 2013. I've got a public business. I got 2 locations. I see the public all day long, and I don't see anybody with a universal flag ever. The closest I ever got to that is seeing some guys with a Nation of Islam, a couple of guys from the Nation of Islam in 10 years, right? So the reason I bring that up is because, you know, the very few 5%ers are, there's, I know, knowledge born, I know true understanding, and these guys are doing everything they can to receive the same equal treatment, but also everything that comes along with that. Like if you're a Christian, if you're a Jew, if you practice Al-Islam, right? There's a whole set of different things that means for you, right? And certain privileges that you have. In order to obtain that, we have to have certain things like a stipulation agreement, which was hard won by Knowledge Born about 3 years ago, but they failed to honor it, right? And somehow, during the time that I was trying to be patient, different meetings, waiting to get into the prison and volunteer, send through materials that would be perfectly acceptable for any Jew or Christian or Muslim or Buddhist to obtain. We've seen stopgaps at every corner. There was always some kind of a reason why we couldn't push through. So what I try to do is essentially be like a pit bull on their leg. I make the phone calls. I write the emails. I've sent in various applications throughout the years. And when one strategy doesn't work, we have to put our heads together, come up with another strategy. And now we're working not only from San Quentin, we're also working from Solano prison. So we'll get into one of those prisons and be able to run a program that can serve as an example that we're doing it righteously, that there's going to have positive outcomes, that there's substance and content to this and what we do. Because right now they're just kind of seeing the surface. And as you know, it's very convenient not to look at things carefully and really examine, you know, who we are and what we teach. And we're still hitting that same classic stopping block of there being confusion about exactly what it is that we do and exactly what it is we teach. Of course, the words Allah in Islam, you know, you can imagine dealing with an imam or somebody that's in the prison system that you have to pass through. There's automatic arguments that pop up just by the language that we use being misinterpreted as a variation of their religion, right? So there's, you know, and any other possible situation you could imagine happening has happened. But I do believe that we're further along than you know, maybe not as far as we want to be at this time, but we're a lot further along than we were a few years ago. And it's just going to take continuous effort, you know, continuous knocking on the door and getting, you know, complaints processed. And I really, truly think that someday in the coming years, we're going to be able to establish what they did with like the intelligent Tarifa law in, I don't know if that was Virginia, the different cases that have passed through in New York. I truly think that once the 5% have an opportunity to reach newborns, to be able to have the materials and the resources necessary to gain the interest, you're going to see the population in there, you know, actually be able to take advantage of the culture and all it offers as far as self-rehabilitation, self-empowerment, bringing back family to the community once you're on the outside. We'll see all that fruit once we're really truly allowed in.
Right. See, I was truly incensed.
I want to take the time out to shout out. Hold on, God. Let me take the time out to shout out the people who has definitely chimed in to listen to us tonight. We got Kimberly Isaiah, the God Bishme from Long Island. My sister Tranisha, Sha Prince, Keisha Wanda, there's a couple other individuals. They chiming in right here, God, to get this knowledge from y'all. But I wanted to ask Divine Son, because I know Divine Son deals with entrepreneur, because I have a clock from Divine Son that's hanging on my wall.
Yeah,
that
he was telling me.
That that
does it still work, God? Does it still work?
And Microsoft, indeed it do. I just changed the batteries.
That's what's up.
I just changed the batteries. Want to give you an opportunity to speak about your entrepreneurship, as far as the things that you make, the publishing. When did you get into publications and things like that?
Okay. I originally started in the publishing business because I did my last bid was like guard years in the feds. I've done knowledge guard years on the inside, and so I know the struggles that the guards have on the inside, getting recognized and getting the proper benefits and the rights that we deserve. But while on the inside, I read a lot. I finally got to the point where I said, shit, I can write better than this is written. I was reading urban fiction, and so by the time I got out, I had 17 handwritten novels. I had already signed my first contract with Terry Woods Publishing, and Terry Woods beat me out of 100 racks. So when I got home, I signed with another publisher in Colorado named Sharif to Dawn. I signed with him because he had a Muslim name. I figured he ain't gonna do me wrong. He beat me out my first check. So you know, I was frustrated. I got all these books written, but I couldn't find a way to get them out there. So me and my wife sat down, and she said, "We're not gonna do this right unless we do it ourselves." So she held us down while I learned the publishing industry. And within a year, I started Zitro Publications, which is or my honorable name spelled backwards. And on our first month, we dropped like 9 books, I think. And from then, it was no turning back. But while on the inside, I told myself when I came home, I would never clock into somebody. I refused to clock into somebody, and that was the promise I made myself. And I've been home now 12 years. This March will make 13 years. And I've kept that promise to myself, except for one time when I had gotten some legal BS and I needed Justice Cipher Born to show the courts. So other than that, I originally started with the publishing company, and then I started making merchandise with the flag and pictures of the father on it. We called it the 5% store. And you know, a lot of guards would hit me up in my inbox from I'm a merchant guard, I'm a 10%er. And you know, to them I say, I don't put nothing out of my shop that's not right and exact. My flag is right and exact. They say the father said don't make no money off my image, but I haven't heard that. I don't have nobody to prove that to me, and I'm not making money off the father's image. What I'm doing is providing merchandise and giving the guards with my t-shirts, my medallions, the opportunity to promote and to build on what we have here, this culture. Because if we walking down through the mall and somebody see my flag on my neck, or they see the flag or the father on my t-shirt, they might ask, yo, who is that? That look like Samuel Jackson, or that look like Martin Luther King, who is that? And that gives me the opportunity to build. Because that's how I do it. I do these to civilize the uncivilized and to teach. So when they see that flag, and they see that picture of the father, if they don't know and they genuinely want to know, then I'm the one that's going to tell them. And you know, if you purchase one of my merchandise, it's on you to be able to build on that. Because if I see you with something, I'm gonna ask you, and I'm doing a living. So if I see you with a flag on and you can't answer what that flag is about, then we're gonna have an issue. Now I'm not gonna have an issue with the person that sold it to you, but I do my due diligence and I ask people why they want the flag if I don't recognize them already. I've had people want to buy the flag for their husband who's in the military and stationed in Iraq. They can't answer a question about the flag, but I have to take it that that's her husband, and he would be able to answer the question. So that's why I do the 5% store. I publish books. I wrap vehicles out here. There's not too much that I don't do. My wife is a graphic designer, so we do web pages, we do book covers, flyers, So anything you can think of graphic wise, we got that covered. And like I said, I've been in the publishing game going on 12 years now, and we've published over 100 books for brothers on the outside and on the inside. We got now, I think, 6 different publishing companies, including a Spanish publishing company, a children's publishing company, one dedicated strictly to the Aeolites, which is called Zigzag Zig Publishing or Productions. You know, and that's, I continue to do that while I can, because I'm getting old. So I want to be able to leave something here for my seeds. I got seeds that I want to be able to leave them by namesake, and in keeping with the promise to myself, I'm never gonna clock in for nobody. I'm gonna always find something to do and something to be able to sustain my family. And at that, I'm gonna say peace and let somebody do it. Peace. And I'm glad that car
Right. Joshua, I just wanted to say,
and just to add on, I don't sell no BS. I don't sell no garbage. Everything that I make here is handcrafted. And it's customized. It's customizable. So I don't outsource, mass produce nothing. I do everything individually by hand. That's why I asked, did it work? Because I've heard horror stories about other ALIs selling merchandise that they don't work. So
well, this is
I'm glad it's still there. That's what's up. Peace.
Peace.
Still taking great God. Joshua.
Yes, sir.
Joshua, I just wanted to say that when Self Savior was denied access to go in as our liaison in California in San Quentin, I was really incensed, man. There's a lot of BS putting up roadblocks. There was even one person, man, that advocated because he was white that he couldn't come into San Quentin. But our teachers informed us that we're not anti-white nor pro-black. And I took offense at it, but Allah you justice and not law mathematics, but Universal Shock Kim informed me, man, that those roadblocks should be expected no matter who he was, because we carry the name of being 5%, right? And automatically they're gonna be set against us doing anything,
Right.
So I drawed it up, man, that patience and tolerance is the key, but like Self Savior said, to be a bulldog or a pit bull on their leg. We can't be denied. Sooner or later, we're gonna have to gain access there. Now, Knowledge Born has been moved from San Quentin to Solano, right? And also California did away with that death penalty, so he's clear from that because he was on death row for over 20 years, God. Over 25. Tell you the truth. But wherever we go, we build, and he's building in Solano. True Understanding has taken up, where he left off at San Quentin. So we know, man, sooner or later, man, the Office of Cultural Management and other organizations, will be able to gain access to that facility.
Also, too, God, I wanted to explain to people about having knowledge of self or being a 5%, or how it actually changes the dynamics of any facility. Peace, what's going on, family? Peace. And when you have knowledge of self, you start dealing with refinement and civilization. You start understanding how to act at home and abroad, and how things are perceived when it comes down to you as a man. When we go into facilities or we go into communities, a lot of times people don't realize there's something different when it comes down to you. The language that you speak, the walk that you walk. So when you're dealing with negativity and that's all you know is negativity, and individuals striving to bring something positive amongst you, they're going to buck that. They're going to push back because that's something that they're not used to. When you start telling a man that he's a civilized man, or you start calling a man a king, you start calling him God, you start give him these titles: supreme being, wise, intelligent, something that they have never heard. These are empowering to the individuals that is receiving it. So at any given time, when you're going into a facility, they're going to push back. They want to keep those beds full. They want to keep individuals going to war with each other because that's where they can get more money. So my question was going to be asked was, how hard is it for them to get the lessons inside those facilities? You know what I mean?
Well,
that's
now it isn't that difficult because I have to realize there are lessons within the penal system, right? There's
right.
been some easement of that, but a lot of those lessons are not right and exact. You know, right now, the Office of Cultural Management, we're doing our best to put together a set of 120 lessons that can be universal throughout all the prisons we deal with. You know, certain lessons that are in there, you know, like a lot of plus degree, what they call plus degree, they're not right and exact. This is another reason why I penned that book, because I know that, you know, misinformation, you know, well intended, could bring about a whole different understanding, but there's a lot of disinformation as well. For example, back in the day, there was a bookstore in Harlem called a Tree of Life bookstore.
Right.
Right now, for years there was a degree that was going around called Parental. Right. So I went into the Tree of Life one day. This is about 76 or 77, around there, and I seen a book called Parental. I looked at, I bought that book, and word for word, you know, it was written by Yogi Ramacharaka. But certain brothers that put their name to it, like they had wrote it. You know, there were other lessons too. You know, other things that were penned that were not right. You know, a lot of the wisdom bodies, you know, back then, man, they had penned things like how wet is water, how fast is a fly heartbeat, you know. So it was inundated.
Hold on, 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 hold on,
man.
hold on, Divine Prince. Hold on, Divine Prince. Hold on, Divine Prince. I want to say peace to K9. I want to say peace to Elevation, but I'm not gonna go for that because you got me when I was about 12 years old and asked me why tree bark is brown. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even going there. So
yeah, go. And this has been my consistent man to straighten out what is crooked. You know, because you can't, you know, in order for you to gain real power, you have to have correct information. You know, unless you reach people that know, and you look like a babbling fool in front of them, man. You know, because the 5% is always learning, and he's essentially a teacher. But if your teachers are not right, you know, then how can you expect those that receive or have faith or confidence in what you're teaching to grow right? You know, and I think that this is part of the problem we got now. We got brothers coming up and sisters coming with all kind of names that don't make no sense. They ain't got nothing to do with our culture, right? As if, man, you know, like we're just going to go for and accept it. Like I said before, man, our intellectual property is being undermined, is being distorted. So I think it's responsible of every God that knows, man, you know, to put the truth out, you know, the actual facts. You know, many try to
now
master the universe before they master the city science.
themselves, right? Now, Divine Prince, having knowledge of self, right, for as many years that you have had knowledge of self, not just in the 5% culture, but in Black African American culture, period, because you walked in many different walks, for as Black Panthers, for as other eye-opening, you know what I'm saying, organizations. Now, how essential do you feel that having knowledge of self is a key to a lot of people and their well-being in today's days and time?
Well, I know that having knowledge of self informs you of who you are, right? But yet the better part of that is having the understanding of yourself. You know what I'm saying? To know the extent of what your power can do. You know, everyone knows something. right? Our knowledge is distinctive in the fact that it teaches us, man, things that go beyond the pale. Our history, our true position in this land and around the world, and also, right, the knowledge that empowers us is the truth. For so long, man, we were getting given BS, by some that were well intentioned, but their teachers were wrong. They were educated in the wrong arenas, right? Many deserted us, kept the truth hidden from us, like we know the Masons and others, man, and kept that truth hidden from us so they could keep us under their thumb, like the 10%. We had a whole bunch of them, man, that just had us going in the wrong direction. But what the father did, he came and corrected the faults that lied, man. He came to those that are at the bottom. He came to the ghetto youth, right? And they carried us forward. If you think about it, a relatively few young men carried us to where we are now, right? And I abide by that because it's principles before personalities all the way. This is what Allah gave us, and this is what His firstborn did a beautiful job. Although they may have had some shortcomings, they did their job.
Sure
So
did.
knowledge of self is important. Yes, it is. But
Now,
to gain an understanding of who you are and where you must manifest yourself, because the law wants us to make this country strong, right? Well, you can't do that unless you can't be strong unless you have the right foods.
Peace.
now with that, God, it's like when we speak to people, we let them know that change comes with the youth. It doesn't come with the old. It
Right.
comes with the youth. And I like to say there was something that you said to me back in like 83, 84 that stayed with me over the years. You told me that being young, I had a target on my back because I was the one, or individuals in my contemporary age group were the ones that was more of a threat to the establishment in this country than the older ones, because we were the ones who were able to make change.
That's right.
They think about the older generation less and less. And for years I didn't understand until I got to a certain degree and was going through certain ciphers. Um, so that's the reason why we teach the young.
That's right.
And we focus on the young. We focus on the young so we can empower them into becoming self-sufficient and change makers in their own environment, in their own situation, their own town, their own country, their own wherever they are at that point in time. So a lot of times people take it as a social equality. And at that point, oh, somebody got something open. Somebody got something open.
I don't know what that is. Everything is shut on my end.
Yeah. Do anybody got the volume open on the thing? Or are they watching the show? If so, can you put it on mute?
Somebody else.
All right. So we focus on the youth, and we like to keep it with the young so we can make a change in our environment. With that, somebody got something open because it's getting a lot of feedback.
Well, I'm gonna mute my mic. Maybe that.
No, Devon son, mute your mic. Okay, let me see. All right, there it is, right there. No more feedback. We try to teach the youth because we want to empower them. We want to educate them, and the reason why we have shows like this here is to be a resource for them. Now, Divine Prince, you've written a book, and can you give a brief overview of what the book is?
Okay, briefly,
Mm-hmm.
God. The book is called The Legacy of Our God. It more or less bespeaks my experience in the nation and my life
Mm-hmm.
experience with different organizations, right? They're also in the book, I've I have highlighted individuals that I think are worthy of our recognition and respect. That, because knowledge is infinite, coming from a lot of areas. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I saw the need, man, long ago, man, for our people to have correct information about who we are and what our goals are. And that we're not revolutionaries. We're not out to destroy the government, right? We're actually here, man, to inform our people, man, to gain the knowledge of themselves and exactly what they're confronted with. I don't pull any punches, but I keep it simple so even the baby can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
That the black man is God, right? That a devil could be manifested not just in the physical body, but in the mental. The
Mm-hmm.
legacy of our God, book one, highlights also the predecessors that came and taught us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've also expressed in there, man, certain people that they may know or may have heard about, like Tupac, yeah, his mother Afeni, who I knew personally, right
Mm-hmm.
before he was born. All
Mm-hmm.
right, the whole scenario of how the government came against Tupac. No things people
Mm-hmm.
that may not recognize or know,
Right.
right? Also,
Mm-hmm.
the transition of our society,
Mm-hmm.
right, from from something that we was kind of understand, but now they're in a technocratic era,
Mm-hmm.
right, where scientists and everybody else is ruling this land, right, and putting us into another, what I call another dimension of living,
Mm-hmm.
right? The legacy of our God, the intention is to inform the people about who we are and to preserve some of the principles and dictates of our nation that have seemed to escape a lot of people that are now coming in,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's important to me because so many of good brothers and sisters have left here and the information is lost. Like Lord Graceful Malik,
Mm-hmm.
he just left here.
Right.
Where's his work? Umala had
Mm-hmm.
a body of work. Where's that?
Mm-hmm.
Allah B,
Mm-hmm.
he wrote a lot. Where's his work?
Mm-hmm.
It seems that when brothers pass, their work is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It meant something to us, that the authors of certain degrees, where they at now.
Mm-hmm.
How many people know about Allah's firstborn black Messiah or
Mm-hmm.
know about, the struggles of the 5%,
Mm-hmm.
what we went through? This was my attempt, man, to have all this because in my thinking, you put it in a book, like I have an ISBN number now for that book,
Mm-hmm.
it's forever. It's forever. Our legacy stand when my physical is passed, people will still be able to reference one God's view or one God's dedication to his nation. So that's the importance of the book. That's the main gist of the book, you
Okay.
know, for you
Now,
to get a glimpse of one God experience and with all the gods.
indeed, knowing your history, like with the Black Panthers, it was not surprising of the relationship you had with Afeni Shakur. Um, and any other of the Black Panthers during that period, 60s and 70s at that time, and even with the Young Lords.
Right.
Now, when it comes down to educating these young people about transitioning through the world today, what are some of the things that you would say to them when it comes down to going up against individuals who give them peer pressure with drugs and sexual deviance and doing anything other than righteous?
Um, to the young, I would say to be wise in your uses of this technology, because you realize, man, that social media is not going anywhere, but you've got to be able to discern what's righteous and what's unrighteous, and accommodate yourself with the truth so that you can stand strong against the opposition from these pedophiles, everybody else, but you be wise in your thinking, because many of your parents, they're not up on this technology. And a lot of them are starting now. I was watching a comedian the other night, and he was, he was funny, but like he said, these aren't jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like, young people today are not built like we were built. You know what I'm saying? He was so funny, but he was so right. He said you take a cell phone away from them and punter, they want to go in the room and commit suicide. You're worried about your image to other people, and this is an occurrence. They cry, moan. They don't go out and play like we play. They don't spend. Everything is, you know, you can walk down any city street and see babies in carriages, man, on the cell phone. Cell phones have become the babysitters. You go to social occasions. There's no more conversing with your parents or those, man, at a part of. So everybody's on their cell phone. The dances, the music, this drill music, hyping them up. You know, it's gotten so bad that now, it's like the devil then took your head and you're imagining this future is going to be, like something out of Star Trek. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a culture coming into play now called Afrofuturism, right? Being promoted by people such as Will I Am and the Black Eyed Peas and the rest of them, man, that we're going into this fantastic future, where technology is going to rule everything, but understanding, man, that, we are the creators of everything. You can create your own reality, but you must be wise and be careful because there's an all-out attempt, man, to kill you off, to use you as a tool and a slave in this future that they are controlling. They're setting the narrative. They're controlling everything, man, and you look at what do you have? Some of y'all are willing slaves, right? And it's reaching epidemic proportions. This is why I'm glad, like, we have persons like Self-Savior that gets them involved in positive things. The God, divine Son of Allah, who puts out children's books, man. They are entitled to their own understanding. My thing is that you must progress with society, but be aware, man, to not be to deceived into thinking, man, that these people are your friends, right? Artificial intelligence is replacing your natural, ability. Now you no longer have to go and do your own essay. You can just go your cell phone, AI, and they'll do a report for you. You know what I'm saying? You've got to meet the demands of what's coming now and in the future. Because I want to see our young be empowered, man, to take over this whole thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because those that are in the power, they've jammed it up. Right now, you have an economy, man, that is at the end. This is the end of their civilization, but yours doesn't have to end. But you must unite and be clear-headed about where you're going. There's nothing wrong for me. Technology is great. We will be able to accomplish great things with it, but it can also be a detriment to you as well.
Definitely.
I just
When
want
it
the young
comes
to be
down
wise.
to the technology, when it comes down to the young and this technology, as parents, as mentors, as guides, we must be mindful and be able to see what they're being exposed to. And I look at the book that you've written. I look at the book that Allah B has written. A lot of our big brothers' literature that they have left behind. And how can we make that more attractive to the young? Because since they don't read, are you going to be able to bring it to audio books or things like that for them?
By any means necessary, because that
Mhm.
book that Divine Son has so gratefully, man, given me the opportunity to put in print and put in the public. I've had that online since 2015, you know, and a platform called for
Wow.
Flipbooks. I
Mhm.
also have other publications that's on a book
Mhm.
site such as Scribe and Z Library, you know. But there's nothing like having the physical book with you. I wanted this to be like a coffee
Right.
table book to be in the home of every 5%, right? So
Mhm.
that, man, when it comes time to reference or the time to teach your young, well, you can go here, you know,
Mhm.
a book on God by God, you know, not a book
Mhm.
written by somebody else, you know, because there's a lot of books that's out about us. You never
Right.
met me. Yeah, a good
Right.
example of that is Wakil. Wakil Allah.
Oh
He
my
put out a
goodness.
book called In the Name of Allah. Now I'm mentioned in that book,
Right.
but you never came and interviewed me, right? Um,
No. No.
I will
Right.
say that I think that one who was not a 5% did the best job was uh what was his name? Pardon me, man. I'm stumbling, but he put out a book on us, right? And
Mhm.
he he hit some real areas, you know, and brothers got upset, but I know, man, that he paid y'all for what you put in this book. You know, he
Well,
exposed a
Michael
lot of
Muhammad.
things, you know.
Was that Michael Muhammad?
Right,
Was that
that's
Michael
right.
Muhammad?
That's right.
Yeah, Michael Muhammad. Yeah,
Michael
I remember him
Muhammad.
coming to the parliament.
Now, Michael
Yeah, I
was
remember him
coming to
coming to the
Parliament.
parliament.
He got with Azrael, you know,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
because I've always been at the front of Parliament, but he observed me, you know, he
Mhm.
gave me praises. But other things he
Mhm.
wrote about us, man, they rang true, you know. But others,
Mhm.
man, fell short simply because you never came and talked with us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You
Right.
you
I re-
got your knowledge secondhand.
I remember back in what's that, the early '90s or what have you, when they had that book of the 5%ers running around, and we was offended.
Right.
We was really offended about that, and we would take the books off the table and wouldn't allow them to sell
Hmm.
those books at that time. Um, and that's some of the
Like
things
we
that
did
I
with the
wonder.
Ansar.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, like
Like we did
we
with
had
the
it out with
Ansar.
the actual fact, actual fact. But I wanted to make sure that like we touch on these key points of how teaching your children knowledge of self is very essential. Taking them, sitting with them, reading with them, educating them of how to navigate through the system, even if at any given time. Yeah, yeah, Dr. York. um, even
Hmm.
in incarceration, the mind is always free. The mind is always free, and we must always remain that way. So, the getting the proper knowledge, that's a key. Getting the proper knowledge is a key. Yeah, Tahim. I remember them nights at Food Town with them answers. Um, getting the proper knowledge is the key. he bringing up some.
Right.
He
I
bringing
would
up some
like
stuff,
Self
Divine
Savior
Prince.
to expound on that same issue. That same issue, because he's
Yeah.
a tenured school teacher. I'd like to hear Self Savior spin on that.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
homeschooling now. You know, I'm homeschooling out in
Mhm.
California because I can't trust the public school system to not mess with
That's
my
right.
kids' heads, man. I mean, you know, in Trenton teaching, I must have had 1,400 students over the course of my career. And I met some kids, some teenagers that might be gay, you know, but I never met any kids that thought they were born in the wrong body. So we're talking like over a long period of time. I've never met, I never had one example of that, right? And then I go to sign my
Right.
daughter up for kindergarten 4 or 5 years ago, right? And 3 kids in her class are going to be transitioning, and I got to prepare myself socially to deal with using the different pronouns. And if I say anything about it, you know, if I say anything about it, I'm MAGA, I'm this, I'm that, the transphobic. So the thing is that socially dealing with people that, and then the problem you got there is you've got those same people that are promoting these ideologies and ideas have also latched on to what they're trying to advertise is kind of like black empowerment. And so now you're buying a sandwich, and you got to eat. You want to get this slice, you got to eat the other slice too. It's on the same sandwich, right? So they put the black and brown and the progressive flag, and they do everything they can to mix these things up. So the key that I learned is that even though
Froze.
I'm not going to be able to teach 9 people to 20 lessons, but if I can teach, 100, one lesson, to 1,200 kids, so what I do on my day to day in my business, wherever I'm at, if they don't have the context to learn it, how I might have learned it, in the 89, 90, but in this context, can I teach them anything? Can I teach them that you have to know something for a fact? Otherwise, it's not smart to move forward and start making decisions, right? You're never going to get a clear mental picture, if you don't know anything. Put it through its paces, and that's going to determine what you do. That's going to determine your culture, whether or not you have power, right? So if I can teach kids mathematics, right, one at a time. So as a result, my kids can tell you, the mathematics and the alphabet, top to bottom. But some of the other kids I meet too in my travels, I try to spread the simplest message to them, because the fact is that this mainstream popular culture, like Divine Prince was talking about, in this age of technology where people are addicted to these screens, these kids are growing up in a different world than we did, right? And with that level of attraction and immersion to this false messaging, right? If you can teach them to really know something before you start acting on it, right? Not to just kind of go with the flow, get drawn up into a fine mist and naked eye can hardly detect, but actually have your mind be able to travel in a way that's solid, that you can move through things and move around certain things when it's not wise to go through certain things. I think that teaching them mathematics is essential. I just unfortunately think the time has passed culturally in the mainstream that they're going to have the context that folks like I in my 40s was fortunate enough to have. Being able to connect it to something that was on MTV, being able to connect it to something that's being talked about at the high school, right? I don't see that anymore. I stopped getting meccas in my classroom, and I stopped getting kids with righteous names in my classroom by the 2010s. So that in terms of the area geographically where I'm from, the culture started to pass. It started to become inaccessible to younger people. So what I think we have to do is make it accessible, because it's not 1930, and the biggest problem the 85% have is not believing in white Jesus. That's not the issue today as it was then, or maybe in the 60s. I wasn't there. But I know right now we've got a 10% that are pushing all kinds of ideas that are either non-religious or of a new religion, of a new religion with new ideologies and new poisonous ideas. And this time it's even more destructive, because if you look back and you look at some of those religious ideas, at least some of the things like man, woman, and child were still in place. But right now what we've got something is it's almost a recipe book to tear apart the nuclear family as a lifestyle. And I think that it's really important that we catch kids when they're young, because if we don't do it, other people are frothing at the mouth to do it first, right? In every place you look, not just in the physical, but on the internet, everywhere. There's adults that are literally reaching out to trying to get into the minds of your kids with crazy ideas, and ain't nobody out there to stop them, right? And it doesn't seem like that's going to change. Peace.
Peace, God. Peace. I wanted to like touch on something that you were saying, right? Because I noticed, like, when we were coming up, they wasn't forcing homosexuality and transgender and these things on us as youth. And we see this happening more and more today. As a parent, what are some of the things that we can do as parents to give them some pushback with that, about forcing that on our children, giving them the mixed messages?
If I may, I just, I'm not a hateful person, man. Before I was a teacher, I cut hair. I was a barber. So all the other guys in the barber shop that were doing women's hair, homosexuals, I never had a bad word between us. I don't care about how other people live their lives, adults. The difference here that I'm seeing now, none of those guys ever wanted to talk to my kids. You know what I mean? None of those guys ever wanted to, make their culture, something that's attractive to my kids. That was, they had a respectful boundary that was going on. And that boundary is now broken down. And like I said, before, I teach them mathematics in the sense that they understand what it's like to be drawn up into something. When we go to the store and it starts at the grocery store and they got like, whatever cartoon is out right now, I can't trust it to watch them because I know that if the content is not in there, that's going to be suggestive. It's going to come next year after I've already let them fall in love with the characters, right? So I tell them, look, there's no Paw Patrol inside that box at the store, right? Those are just little gelinated fruit snacks. I start kind of showing them that, hey, look, the world is packaging itself, packaging messages for you all the time. You got to be able to detect what's real and what's not. There's no cartoons inside that box, and the same thing goes for, not lifestyles that I necessarily want to comment in, but when you want to confuse my kid at the pediatrician and start asking him questions about, hey, are you feeling more like a boy or a girl? That's my son. He's 5.
Right.
We can't do this. There's a line to how polite I'm willing to be, and it's going to reach a point where the importance of how polite I want to be to people is gonna get overwhelmed with how much I want to protect my kids from crazy ass ideas, right? And so what I got to do is really come up with strategies on a regular basis. The content that they watch is not what everybody else watches, right? So I'll get them hooked on shows from the 50s and the 60s. I don't care when it was that modeled a family unit in the household where the man, had a certain role. And it might not be perfect, right? It might not be perfect. It might be 60s and 70s. There'll be problems in there. But I sure as hell am not putting them in front of things that are coming out in anything after 2015, because I know what's being modeled there is going to go against our values, right? And now they're going to be falling in love and getting drawn into a culture, this mainstream culture, which has so many pitfalls. And everywhere they walk, there's somebody trying to get their attention and draw it away what's going to be from most productive for them, right? So it's a combination of shielding them from certain things. But when I can't do that anymore, I want them to have that knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, power, everything built in, right? And we have a shared language too. So when we're talking about T or truth or square, right? If we're watching something out there together in the world, and especially in California where we're at, or where we've been, at least, it's not so bad where I'm at now, but in the Bay Area, we're going to be able to relate that back to mathematics. So they'll be able to see the world through those eyes as a layer of protection for them. So they remember where they stand and, they remember what their principles are. And, if somebody ever wants to have a conversation with them, they'll be equipped someday to actually stand their ground instead of kind of going with the flow and succumbing to other people's ideas. Peace.
Right. Peace.
And
Now,
also the parents themselves must begin, man, if they haven't already, to start, man, cutting it off the minute they see their head, get on these school boards, community boards, man, right? And raise not only their voice in opposite, because all lies die in the light of exposure, but you've got to take an active part in suspending these people that are coming, because these people you mentioned, they have strong lobbies, only for the fact, man, that we fail to recognize our power. Only power they got is the power we give them. You cannot lay back and just take a cavalier attitude about it. You know what I'm saying? If my child is going to that school, right, and I want to be firsthand exactly what they're being taught, right? Because the teaching, I think, should begin at home, but, we cannot have children that would cave to peer pressure, Well, my friend is gay, and he has this, and I like him, and, the distorted view that they have a life now. You make them understand there's only 2 genders I know, male and female. Anything else, man, that goes against the grain. So the parents themselves must take an active role. So just like it takes young people to talk to young people, right? Some of us that are mature in our age have got to have the ability, man, to confront the old and let them know what they is going on. And let them know, man, that they do not have to accept it. You don't,
Definitely.
And that's just how I see it, man. You got to confront them exactly. Every time it comes up, you got to shut it right down.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
yo, peace. We've been building for about an hour, a little bit over an hour, and that done ran its course with the show. But I want to make sure that individuals are able to know where they can get your book at, Divine Prince, and also Self Savior Philadelphia, where they can contact you, where they can give you some assistance in all the things that you do, and also to Divine Son, how they can contact you with getting with the 5% stores, things of that nature. So, Divine Prince, if you don't mind.
Well, the Divine Son can tell you best that the book is now being sold on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and a few other sites. You know, they can order directly from myself or Divine Son as well. Right, Divine Son, you want to speak on this?
Go ahead and unmute yourself, God.
Unmute yourself, God.
I'm working on it. Hold up.
There you go.
All right, peace.
Yeah.
Like the God said, you can order the book directly from Amazon. It's available in hardcover, full color hardcover book that would sit beautifully on the coffee table. As you can see, the book is 8.5 by 11, and it's 520 pages. So it's a thick piece of literature, and it's definitely worth the price. But you can order it directly from Divine Prince. You can order it from from Amazon. You can Google it, go online. If you order it directly from Divine Prince eats a little bit more as far as on the royalties. Amazon don't take theirs, and he gets a bigger piece of that pie. Like I said, I don't sell it personally, but if somebody don't want to go through Amazon and they came to me, I would probably direct them to Divine Prince so that he can get the full royalties on that sale. But the book is beautiful, and as far as the 5% store, we had a website, but I'm gonna say this: the gods don't support gods. Our allies don't support each other like they should, because they want so I don't know how to say this without seeming like I'm frustrated, but one of my biggest frustrations is the allies out there that aren't right and exact. We gotta put a stop to them books that aren't right and exact, to the allies out there that's putting out parts of not even allies, these pretenders that's out there using our name and using our flag as a shield for their nonsense. They should start at the law school, and there should be a list of books that are banned, books that we don't want our ALX to get a hold of. When I was coming up, the guard Josh Mel mentioned the book of the 5%ers. When we first saw that book, I was doing time in Now C, and we didn't know much about York. But back in the days, in late 80s, early 90s, we would get them pamphlets and them scrolls, and we would draw up the best part. When that book of the 5%ers came out, it was 635 pages long. I bought the book, and I was excited. I was excited to get the book. I hand wrote everything out the book that was right and exact to me, and it didn't even take up 35 pages. The rest of it was garbage. But the way York Imam Esau, at the time his name was Imam Esau, the way he put it out there was attractive to the newborns. Then he came out with the problem book with a picture of our flag, a grafted flag on the front. These things they did to appeal to us because they were attractive. But we need to make a list of these books. Wakil got a web page out there. If I'm a now
we got to get off in a minute. I ain't even worried about that. I'm not even worried about these job pretenders.
I already know.
You know what I mean? I need some statement to let the people know how they can assist him in his endeavor.
You could hit me direct at bigfieldsacademy.com. I got a website that I offer free academic support and curriculum for other homeschooling people that want to, homeschool in the way that I do. And it has, math and alphabet and different concepts in there that are valuable to teachers. That's bigfieldsacademy.com. And I say that to say that my email address is also bigfieldsacademy@gmail.com. So if you want to hit me about the prison situation in SQ, I'm ready to talk to anybody who can give me a hand out here. Everybody involved is working real hard, and I appreciate everybody who's given me support thus far. I love this book, man. This is an amazing piece, man. This is something everybody should have. Peace.
Right. Peace. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want all the guys, I want y'all to stay back for a minute. You know what I'm saying? After the show is over, don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been adding on with my righteous brothers, in the nation of God's and Earth, the 5% Nation. And I hope that y'all was able to take something positive away from here, take the best part for yourself. And that's what we always do when it come down to 5%. Make sure that we support one another and we deal with everything righteously. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Real to Real 360. Make sure you tune in this week. We have other episodes, but today we are out of here. Let's go.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we starting to come to the end of the show. Right now, I want to take the time out and thank our guests for coming on. Also, too, we want to make sure that y'all listening and subscribing and tell a friend and keep sharing because we're going to keep bringing y'all the real content. You know what I mean? So, DJ K-Wise, my brother, take us up out of here, son.
True
Peace.
I want to give a big shout out to the nation of gods and nurses, and to all the human families on the planet Earth. I say peace. But to our subscribers, those who continue to watch and listen to the show each and every time we come on, I give a big shout out of love, peace, and happiness to you. The peace of man, woman, and child of the you and I verse. It's time for us to disperse. We bring the best, not the worst. We thank you once again for tuning in to the Real 360. Bring a friend to hit that like and subscribe so we continue to grow to bring more knowledge and wisdom to you. Upon our show, you make it possible for us to do what we do. Now it's time I end it just the way I bring it.